In today's video, we're going over the top 5 shipping mistakes I see resellers make here on eBay, Poshmark, Etsy, and all the other e-commerce platforms when they're starting out. So I was sitting at my shipping desk today, going through a couple orders, getting them packed up, and I realized just how many different techniques I use and how many different things I think about when going through the shipping process. And that got me thinking there's definitely a couple things here that I could make into its own video that I think could benefit some of the viewers here on the channel. So we're going to be talking a lot about Canada Post specifically here, but some of these tips will apply when using any shipping company or any online platform, so be sure to stay tuned for those. Anyway, let's get right into them. Number one here, and this one's kind of an obvious one, but this is the size of your package. I like to think about this in two different ways. There's overpacked and there's underpacked. As somebody who's shipping different items on a regular basis of different sizes and different weights, I had to play around with this idea all the time. You see, as somebody who's new at shipping, I often see the mistake made where they're either one of two things. Again, they're underpacked or they're overpacked. Underpacked meaning that they're not putting nearly enough support in for their package. Not enough bubble wrap, maybe not enough packing paper, maybe the wrong kind of box, or a box that won't actually make it to the customer because it's maybe deteriorated or not in the best shape. Maybe trying to put an expensive electric device through a poly mailer, which is just a non-starter for shipping here. But then there's also the overpack side of things where beginners are, using way too big of boxes with way too much packing supplies and materials and way too much time to tape every single, cardboard area of the box up and make sure that every single item in the box is securely wrapped with 8 layers of bubble wrap and like 12 layers of packing paper to make sure that nothing happens to that parcel on the way to the buyer. And although I agree with this strategy to some extent, because obviously we do want our items to get to the buyers intact, and as a beginner, one might argue that your reputation is on the line, so you want to make sure that items are packed and you spend as much time on each order to make sure those first few transactions are positive ones. But nevertheless, one of the things I learned as you go on is that there really is a balance point in the middle, and you have to make sure that you're hitting that and you're not spending too much time and money packaging, way over packaging your stuff, and you're also not cutting costs and cutting corners a lot to the point where your stuff doesn't get there intact to your buyers. Somewhere right in the middle though is where you want to be. All right, let's go on to point number 2. Beginners are always lost about different shipping methods. Usually, maybe you don't have the knowledge base in terms of what all the services are that Canada Post has to offer, whether that be internationally, domestically, maybe just to the United States. Maybe you're not also knowledgeable about other shipping services that exist. That could be UPS and FedEx and using those services, or even a cross-border service that takes your parcels to the States to ship them there for cheaper. There are plenty of different options, plenty of different places where you can get shipping quotes in your packages when you're first starting out. It can all be very confusing off the bat and definitely something that takes a while to get your head around. But one thing that I would suggest for beginners is to go on to the different websites, maybe just a few of the major ones out there, even if you're just sticking with Canada Post to start with. Maybe let's just do Canada Post, and you go through their site and you go and you look at all the different, shipping options that they offer. Their expedited mail, their regular mail. What about international? What can we do there? We can do, maybe small air packet or small track packet air, or you could just do a regular small packet air or a small packet ground, or whatever the parcel is. You can go see all their parcel options. I actually have a whole bunch of videos on the channel here if you're not feeling like reading about international shipping and just domestic shipping as well, in case you're looking at the different options. But there are a whole bunch of different ones. And then of course you want to maybe go and explore a few different shipping companies, see what they have to offer, see what the price differences are. Maybe just for fun you go and you make up a box dimension and a weight that you go and you enter into 4 different shipping platforms, and you see what the different prices are and how they compare. That gives you sort of a range at which you could estimate that a package would ship within a certain dimension and weight within each carrier. There are also services out there that beginners might not even know about, like the Canada Post oversized letter mail system that allows you to ship anything under 1/8 of an inch thick through the slot flat rate anywhere in Canada for, a range between about $1.84 all the way up to about $6, I believe, but nevertheless a lot cheaper than you can get through regular mail. Or some of the flat rate box options that they offer there that may actually beat out some of the rates that you'd be paying somewhere else for a normal dimensioned box. Either way, rates change everywhere, and I think as a beginner tip, I would recommend spending a few hours, some time for sure, to get your head around all the different weights and sizes and all the different services that are offered by each of the different shipping companies. Number 3 biggest beginner shipping mistake that I see made is the shipping time. Let me explain this one a little bit. This one might not apply to you. You might be somebody that's very much on time and on track with all of your orders and pays very close attention to your store at a beginner. But what I find with most beginners is that maybe they don't have the biggest store in the world and they're not necessarily paying a super amount of attention to it. Sure, you get that first couple orders in and you're super pumped about them and you get them shipped out right on time. But maybe you've stopped listing a little bit, or maybe you've just taken a bit of a break and you may have gotten a couple orders in there that may have been sitting for a week over your shipping policy in terms of your 2 to 3 day handling time, that now you're delayed on shipping. This is a non-starter, but I want to just say that this was me originally too. I definitely had a couple orders there in some unmotivated periods that waited longer than they should have been to go out. I think only once I've had an order wait an entire week before I've shipped it out, but definitely multiple times, a few days over the shipping and handling quoted time, and that's just not great. Obviously, you're going to upset your customers. You're going to have some bad bad feedback potentially come in from doing this. But another thing to think about is that, again, your store reputation all relies on those first couple pieces of feedback. You can really shut your whole store down and not get it off the ground by failing to do some of these simple things. So I know it might seem a little bit tough at the beginning, and maybe you're not used to it, you're not in the flow yet, you're not used to maybe shipping out orders every single day, every single week, whatever it might be for you, but you had to stay on top of this here at the beginner. And especially if you jump into things and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna do as many listings as possible on whatever platform you're selling on, and then you get behind on that shipping, that's gonna cause some major problems when starting out. So something just to note there for sure. I think I was in above my head at one point, you know, when I started out getting a couple hundred listings up on eBay and then having to deal with all these orders. I kind of forget about all the time that's required to do all that. And you know, it was hard to find that balance and to get all these orders out on time. But it's one thing to really think about when you're starting out is how much you want to scale up and how quickly, and if you're going to be able to manage to process all these orders within the set handling time that you've set out for your buyers. Number 4 is to have a dedicated shipping area with all of your supplies accessible to you at all times. Now again, on the beginner level, okay, you might not need to dedicate, you know, a whole, you know, massive section of your house to, you know, shipping out eBay orders or Poshmark orders or whatever it is if you're just a beginner. But even having something as small as a set drawer where you have your scissors and your packing tape and maybe a few bubble mailers is just a great start in terms of being able to get to everything very efficiently and effectively very quickly, because again, time is money in this business and you don't want to be wasting time trying to find a pair of scissors or tape, you know, when you're going to pack something. I've built a setup now with multiple cabinets, boxes accessible to me, poly mailers accessible to me, bubble mailers accessible to me. I've got many drawers with different supplies, whether that be stamps, you know, scissors, tape, anything that I could possibly need. I've got all my scales and all of my tape measures in one location, all my customs firms in another location, but they're all always in the exact same spot, so I never have any trouble trying to spend a few minutes looking for scissors or a roll of tape. In most cases too, I have multiples of everything, multiple knives, multiple scissors, multiple rolls of tape on the go, multiple scales on the go. I never want to have to wait and try to find something. I always have things in their place, but in the rare time that they're not, I have a secondary one usually on standby, even if something doesn't work or if I run out of something, then I don't have to waste any time switching rolls around or trying to find another one. You know, I can just jump right into it and I don't waste any time. Anyway, I take great pride in my shipping station, so I recommend that you might just want to set up even just a little thing like, again, a drawer or something of that nature when you're starting out. I think I can really help you get organized in terms of when you're doing your shipping. Number 5 has less to do with shipping itself and more to do with when you go to pull the items that you're going to ship. Yeah, I figured I would include this one in here because we are on the topic of time wasting, and by far this was the largest time waste I had in my business when I was starting out. You'll notice behind me that all of my bins and drawers over here, everything that I do has a label on it. And I believe that even if you're operating the smallest store in the world, this is super critical. Every single one of my listings has a custom SKU form on eBay, which is filled out with the exact same label as to where I'm going to find it in the store. Now this helps cut down time drastically when starting to try to find orders, because unlike what I used to do before when I had everything on a bookshelf and I had to go and look through every single item and read off titles and all this stuff trying to find a game or maybe an item that's sold, nowadays I don't even have to think about it. I pull up the listing, it tells me right there where the item's located, I just go and grab it. It doesn't even occur to me. Now mind you, I have a few thousand items here in my store, which does make it necessary absolutely for a system like this. But I would argue that any store with over 20, 30 items, you're going to want to start to implement a system like this. Even if it's in your own house and you're just starting out, at least get a Tupperware where everything is instead of having it all scattered around your closet and your kitchen. That way when you go to sell something, you can go and find it right there in that set Tupperware or whatever it might be, a shelf, wherever, but somewhere where the items are always going to be so you know where to find them. Because let's face it, nobody likes not being able to find an item, nobody likes trying to spend time trying to find an item, and nobody likes having to cancel an order because they can't locate an item that they sold. A quick bonus one here that I figured I'd add in at the end is that you want to watch how much you're spending on your packing material. Beginner mistake happens all the time. I sold a shirt for 15 bucks, so I better go up to Canada Post, buy a bubble mailer from them for $2.50 or whatever it is that they charge, and I pack it up and it's on its way. What they don't realize is that you can get bubble mailers and shipping supplies way cheaper than the set prices at your stores. I wholesale my bubble mailers in, for example, my 7x9s for about 25 cents. I used to get them from China, now I got a source in the United States, but generally speaking, when you buy in bulk, you can get a much better deal. But even if you're not buying in bulk, you can get better deals at, you know, Costco or the dollar store and just get 2 or 3, maybe 5, 10 of a certain packing material. But there's oftentimes way better prices than what you might find, for example, at Canada Post. So just keep an eye out, do your research when trying to price out your shipping materials, and that'll help you definitely save some money and even make more profit here in this business. With that, guys, I'm going to wrap today's video up. Hopefully you guys found some value in it. Let me know if I missed any tips below. I'm sure, you know, other members of the community here would love to hear what you guys have to say, and they can, you know, go ahead and reply to those with your own experience or whatever. Just create a little bit of a thread down there. Some people can go down there, check it out, and read what other tips you guys might have. I know some of you guys have bigger stores than me, more items, and you guys are pros out there. So sharing that, even from my own knowledge here, would be fantastic. With that all said, be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I will see you guys all in the next video.